What's up, guys? Here with the Week 11 performance reviews. To start off, we have my matchup versus Garrett. I destroyed him. It was 182 to 98. I believe 182 is the highest score on the season. So I'm pretty happy about that. Just I hope my team didn't use up all their points in 1 week. We'll start off by looking at my team. I got Drew Brees with 22. Brandon Cooks with 24, Keenan Allen with 34, Rashard Matthews with 20, Jimmy Graham with 17, Mohamed Sanu with 11, Ravens defense with 23, and Will Lutz with 17. Did have Josh Dodson on the bench who had 10. I wouldn't really say I had any duds in my lineup. My running backs, both of them kind of underperformed just because they didn't really get double-digit points. I know Burkhead fumbled in the game, which obviously cost me 2 points there, and then I also believe it cost me some playing time with Belichick. So I'm looking over here at Garrett's team. He had Russell Wilson with 31, Melvin Gordon with 14, Ajayi had 11, Crabtree with 10, Kelsey had 13. On the bench, he had Stafford who had 18, so he played the correct quarterback. And he also had Tariq Cohen on the bench who had 14. He could have played him in the flex and got a few more points there, but nothing crazy. Duds in his lineup. Nelson Aguilar had .3. Cole Beasley with 1.7. Those are kind of the sore spots there. I'm not sure what he expected out of the defense and the kicker, but he had 4 and 5 there. Did have some players on bye week this week. Next matchup we have here is Michael versus Philip. Philip won this matchup 99 to 77. And we all know from the chat why the matchup was the way it was in a way, and it could have been possibly closer. But we'll start talking about Philip's team here. He had Todd Gurley with 13, Fournette had 13, AJ Green had 13, Devonta Adams had 17, Jameson Crowder had 11, and the Bengals defense got him 10. Did have Alex Collins on the bench with 15, so he could have got some more points there, plugging him in the flex. Also had Eckler on the bench, the backup in LA for the Chargers. He had 13. Definitely played the right defense because he had the Saints defense on the bench who gave him -4, so definitely got some points there. We'll look at Michael's team here. Orleans Darkwa got him 16. Adam Thielen got him 21. Matt Prater got him 11. Had Mike Evans on the bench who had 12 points. And we all know he decided not to pick up a quarterback this week. He had Cam Newton in his lineup who was on bye week. Michael's excuse is, as you guys saw, that if he could have picked up a player before the game after noon, right before the game start, then he would have had somebody in the game, and that's what's wrong with our league. Well, the fact that Cam Newton was on bye week, and he's been on bye week for ever since last week, so you could have picked up somebody Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday before noon to replace him. Like, I could understand if it was a situation where he got ruled out at the last minute. That's the only case where that argument even, is somewhat there. You've known the waiver rules. The waiver rules have been the same all season long. They were the same as the waiver rules we had last year. So the fact that you're not putting somebody in your lineup when they're on bye week, it's just that you don't care. You've given up. I mean, we all know your team is one of the worst in the league. Also, not playing your number one wide receiver in your lineup lets us know that as well. So there's no reason why you didn't play him. You could have put him in your lineup afternoon on Sunday, but you chose not to do that. Instead, played Emmanuel Sanders. You played Cooper Kupp. You played DeMarco Murray. All guys you could have replaced with Mike Evans, who Mike Evans scored more points than all of them. So, the only reason I harp on this is I want this to be a competitive league. There is money on the line. There is a championship belt that the winner gets. I want everybody to enjoy the league, and I want everybody to have fun and be competitive throughout the season. But if we have people not setting their lineups properly, and this isn't the first time this has happened this season. It's happened with other guys in the league as well. Guys, not, putting in people when they're on bye week, not, substituting them out when they're injured. There are circumstances where I can see that, being not worried about necessarily. If you have, obviously, work is more important than fantasy league, I 100% agree with that. Or family emergencies, things of that nature. We're all understanding, we're all human, but other than that, everybody spends at least 30 minutes a week on the toilet. All right. All you guys got smartphones. You have the fantasy app. All you got to do is just set your lineup. Just make some waiver claims. If your quarterback is going to be out and you're only going to have one day to make claims, then how about you put a claim in for 6 quarterbacks? That way you make sure you get one. You can select to drop the same player and just prioritize which ones you want the most. That way, when waivers process, if the top 3 get picked up by other guys because, they had better priority or could spend more money than you, then you'll get the 4th guy. And then just make sure you set your lineup. That's it. It's not a difficult concept. We need to make sure everybody is trying. Everybody wants to participate. And if that's not the case, then maybe we need to make some changes, moving forward next year. I don't know. I don't want to run a league that, maybe only half the people are really participating in and trying in. I want something to be competitive. I want everybody to be participating. That'll make things more enjoyable for everybody. And, that's how I believe fantasy football league should go. So that's kind of the end of my rant here, and we'll talk about the other people's teams and go from there. All right, the next matchup we have here is the battle of the Lego family, Ray Sr. versus Ray Jr. Ray Sr. got the win here by a pretty slim margin. Still showing his son that he is the 2-time defending champ here. So we'll look at Ray's team. He had Kirk Cousins get him 26, Abdullah got him 11, Coleman got him 12, Cooper got him 10, Bruce Ellington got him 10. He did have Amendola on the bench who had 17, so he could have got some more points there. C.J. Anderson was on the bench who got him 11. Jared Goff was on the bench with 10, so he played the correct quarterback there. Some duds in his lineup. Ingram had only 1.4. Kelvin Benjamin had 2.5. He did get hurt in the game, so that has a lot to do with the fact that he didn't score a lot of points there. But everybody else pretty much did pretty solid for him, with retrospect to what you expect to get out of those kind of players. If we look over here at Ray Sr.'s team, he had Tom Brady with 26, Jordan Howard with 19, Sean Jackson with 10, Duke Johnson with 15. Chargers defense got him 24. He picked up the Chargers defense during the middle of the week, so that was probably the pickup of the week that really helped propel him to victory there. On his bench, he had Marvin Jones, who had 17. If he would have lost, he'd really be kicking himself for that because Marvin Jones outperformed everybody at receiver and the guy in his flex. He had Steelers defense on the bench with 16, so he played the correct defense. If he would have played the Steelers defense over the Chargers defense, it looks like he still would have won. He would have won by 0.4 though, instead of a little bit more comfortable of a margin. Also had Corey Coleman on the bench who had 11. I believe this was his first game back from his injury, so it looks like he's jumping right in there and producing. Duds in his lineup, James White had 1.3. I would say Golden Tate with 4.7 is a little bit of a dud. Cameron Brate with 1.7. And he had Jake Elliott, the Eagles kicker, who had 0. But he also was injured in the game, I believe, on the first drive of the game, where he went to make a tackle and got a little stinger in his neck, and that took him out of the game there. Next matchup we have here is Joseph versus David. Joseph won this one pretty easily, 134-82. We'll look here at David's team. He had Ingram with 23. Chris Thompson had 10. Julio had 10. Demaryius Thomas had 15. And that's about it. He did have Phillip Rivers on the bench who had 18, which If we talk about the duds on his team, he had Dak Prescott in his lineup, who had negative 1.2, so it would have been a basically a 19-point swing for him there. He still would have lost, but it made his score look a little bit better there. Other duds in his lineup, he played Jordan Reed. He was ruled out of the game. He had 0 points. Obviously, I would say everybody else kind of did what they were supposed to do. He has lost Chris Thompson for the season. He fractured his fibula in the game. It was a play where a defensive lineman rolled up on him from behind, and it's unfortunate there. If we look at Joseph's team here, he had Tyrod Taylor, who had 18. Now, I got on Michael about not putting a quarterback in. In this case, Joseph really got lucky because Tyrod was the backup quarterback for the game, and because I think it's Nathan Peterman did so freaking bad, they decided to put Tyrod in the game, and Tyrod actually put up some points. So, if he would have had Tyrod in the game and got 0 if he never would have played, I'd really be getting on Joseph as well. But I don't know if he knew something none of us, at least I didn't know, but it actually worked out for him, and I think the Bills are retarded for taking him out, and hopefully moving forward they'll keep him in there if they're smart. He also had McCoy with 25, Alshon Jeffrey with 17, Landry with 17. The Jacksonville defense got him 27, Matt Bryant with 11. Nothing to speak of on his bench. Some duds, I would say, Doug Martin really hasn't performed this year, so maybe getting 5.5 points out of him isn't bad, but you might expect a little bit more there. Everybody else, I thought Jared Cook might have a little bit better of a game than 4.6, but everybody else is probably on par with what I'd expect to get out of those guys. Next matchup we have here is Dakota versus George. Dakota won this one 129-94. We'll start here by looking at George's team. He had Doug Baldwin with 11, Ted Ginn with 11, Kenny Stills with 28. Eagles defense got him 23. Had Matt Ryan on the bench with 17. Would have got some more points there, still would have lost. And he had quite a bit of guys on bye week this week. Duds in his lineup. Blake Bortles with 9 points, or 8.6 at Cleveland. You expect more than that. Giovanni Bernard with a point. Zach Ertz was 1.8. That's definitely a shocker. Austin Hooper had 0.9. Look over here at Dakota's team. Carson Wentz with 20. Lev Bell with 15. Dion Lewis with 17. Dez Bryant with 10. Fitz with 20. Michael Thomas with 12. Gostkowski got him 20. Not too much going on his bench. Morris did have 9. So it had a decent game there. Duds in his lineup. Maybe Hunter Henry with 3.5. That's about it. Everybody pretty much did fairly well there. And then the last matchup we have here is Phil versus Dalton. Phil won this one 136-91. And we'll start here by looking at Phil's team. Phil had Big Ben with 29, Lamar Miller with 16, Antonio Brown with 38, Tyreek Hill with 12, Delaney Walker with 12, Jamal Williams with 12, Justin Tucker with 11. Had Latavius Murray on the bench, who had 22. Andy Dalton on the bench, who had 19, so he played the correct quarterback there. Some duds in his lineup. Peterson with 4.4. You'd expect to get a little bit more out of him there. And he did play the Rams defense, and they got negative 5 points. Look over here at Dalton's team. He had Derek Carr with 14. Kamara with 23. DeAndre Hopkins with 16. Robert Woods with 12. He did have Mariota on the bench with 14.7, so he would have got 1.2 more points, so it wouldn't have made a big difference there. Duds in his lineup, Greg Zuerlein with 1 point. I would say Gronk with 5 is a dud. Maybe Stephon Diggs with 5. Had Kenyon Drake in the lineup, who had 1.9. I would say everybody else kind of got what I would expect out of them. So that wraps up the review this week. I will have new power rankings up on the page. Right now we have 2 weeks left in the regular season. So best of luck to everybody. Obviously some teams are already eliminated based on their record. So we'll see how things go. I'm back in first place by myself, but I believe there is 4 teams with one game back, all tied for second. So should be a very interesting race as we end the season here. Best of luck to everybody. Make sure you get your claims in. Obviously, this week is Thanksgiving, so we have 3 games on Thursday. So make sure your guys that you got in on teams that are playing Thursday. It is the Vikings, the Lions, the Chargers, the Cowboys, and I believe the Redskins and the Giants. So make sure you get your guys in that are playing that day, so you don't have them on the bench and then they go off and you're upset with yourself. So best luck to everybody. I'll see you next week. Oh, and happy Thanksgiving.